Hey Tatreezers, it's Lena, and welcome to the first piece in my Tatreez Capsule Wardrobe series. Today I'm starting with something very simple but powerful, a thrifted pair of jeans with this patch on it. It's a pair of jeans that I fell in love with when I was thrifting in Japan earlier this year. I love these jeans. They were my first ever thrift, and I'm so proud of this thrift. And this patch right here has been screaming to me for Tatreez. So I decided I'm going to kick things off by breathing a little bit of new life into this pair of jeans by adding Tatreez as the Palestinian touch to make it fully mine. If you're new here, welcome. Whether you're just threading your very first needle or you're stitching every single day, this channel is all about reclaiming Palestinian heritage by telling your story through Tatreez and the art of Thobe making. If that speaks to you, hit subscribe and let's begin. Okay, so for this patch, I wanted something clean, geometric, and repeatable. Since the patch is already kind of outlined and it has its own little special place on the pair of jeans and is very identifiable, I decided that I'm just going to do Tatreez for the entire space of the patch. And in that way, it'll look as if that patch had actually come embroidered before becoming into this pair of jeans. When I was thinking about colors, I was thinking about something that could be subtle so that when you kind of took a sneak peek at it, you may not notice, but if you look closer, then you see this really intricate detail. And that way, a lot of other pieces that I wear with the pair of jeans, like my shirts or any like jackets or whatever, everything will match. So the debate that I had was between a navy blue and a white thread. I think I'm gonna go with navy blue. It's subtle and I think it adds something really nice. Also, this patch is a little bit of a lighter shade than other parts of the pair of jeans, so I think it's darker with navy blue. It's white, really pop. Okay, it's finally time to start adding Tatreez to these jeans. Here's my waist canvas and a pair of scissors. We're gonna go ahead and cut out just enough to fill up the space. We need to baste it onto the pair of jeans. Now you can use pins or you can use some thread and just do a really easy basting stitch around it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the basting stitch. I also am gonna try out these new needles. They're apparently steel made needles. I've never used them before, so we're gonna give them a go and see how it goes. I'm also gonna be using sewing thread instead of the embroidery thread to baste it, just because this will eventually be removed anyways, so we don't want to waste our beautiful embroidery thread. We can go ahead and use some of this cheaper sewing thread. The other thing that we want to make sure we do, I mean, it's not so important for this project, but because of the type of design I'm doing, but if you want to make it so that it's straight, that the design is going to be straight, I want to make sure I align this grid with the seam of the pair of jeans. So I'm going to do my best to see if I can do that. Okay, this is the worst part, but the key is doing this right, because then you're set for the rest of your Tatreez. So don't skimp out on basting well, because you'll thank yourself later, promise. I'm almost done. Okay, that is the worst part ever. I hate attaching. I think this is everyone's least favorite part, especially for a Thobe. But we are done. We've accomplished adding the waist canvas to the entirety of the patch. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. But now we can start the fun stuff. Tatreez. So exciting. Oh, this is the best part ever. Okay, this is seriously the hardest part. Once you baste your waist canvas, the rest is really fun. So let's get started. Let me not get too excited and throw my folder thread everywhere. Okay. Okay, it's time to start the Tatreez on my jeans, but first, some coffee. Okay, now that I'm caffeinated and I have my coffee ready, it's time to get started on the jeans. So exciting, so exciting. I will say what I ended up deciding on the colors are these two. So 311 and 762 from DMC. Go ahead and cut out my first piece of thread. I have my needle already here. I'm gonna tie a knot on one end, and I'll show you how I like to start my projects, even though I won't have knots in the back. So it'll be knot free on the back side, but I do like to start with a knot because it helps anchor my thread when I first get started. Okay, so this is the design I'm going with. I'm just putting it here so you can see it. It is called a disc motif, and it actually was found to originate from a town called Al-Majdal. Now, Al-Majdal was ethnically cleansed in 1948, and so because I now know where this motif may have originated from, at least according to where it's been seen on existing pieces of items from before that time, I can now think about Al-Majdal as I stitch these pair of jeans and every time I wear them. And then anytime someone asks me about the embroidery, because they will, and if they don't, I'll just bring it up anyways, then I can tell them like, yeah, I stitched this motif. It's a disc motif, and it comes from Al-Majdal. Do you know where Al-Majdal is? They'll say no. And I'll say, oh, it's a town in Palestine that was ethnically cleansed in 1948. And inshallah, 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 one day when Palestine is fully liberated, I can go wear these pair of jeans in Al-Majdal and be amongst the people who originate from Al-Majdal, inshallah. All right, let's go ahead and start adding the Tatreez. And I wanted to show you that every time I decide on a design that I want to stitch, I usually assign my colors to either I will change the design to be in the colors that I'm using, or in this case, because I'm just using a motif from Tatreez, I'm just gonna assign different colors and then follow it that way. So in this case, there are two colors here. There's a darker orange and a lighter orange. I'm gonna make the dark blue the lighter orange because that way it'll take me around like this very easily. And then I'm gonna make the light color or the darker color this lighter white color. So all of the pieces on the inside will be in this color. So I'm gonna start, I think, from like here and just start in the middle of my patch of jeans, and then we'll kind of see where it goes. So I'll put the design to the side so you can see kind of where I'm going, and I'll show you what I'm doing to get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start from around the middle, and I'm going from the outside to the inside because I'm gonna use the knot as a way to anchor my thread while I get the first few stitches in. And now I'm realizing very quickly that it's gonna be, because the jeans are closed, this is why when you make a thobe, you do the stitching before you put it together. So this is the fun part of trying to figure out how to get my hands, and I'm sure after a while I'll get into a rhythm. So I anchored my knot here, and like I mentioned, I'm following this design. Okay, so this is the first piece that I've made, and you can see how much work I have to do. So the purple is essentially the borders of the space that I'm stitching. So you can see that it's just this one little piece of the broader picture, but we will get there slowly but surely. Okay, now that I've started, yay, it's time for a workout. We'll be back. Okay, so as usual, I overestimated how long I needed to do the Tatreez, which is very classic Lena, and that's okay. So what I want to do is actually play around with the needle. Thankfully, I was TikTok influenced and got this entire pack of needles, and it comes in 3 different sizes. So I'm going to play around with the medium and longer versions of the needle and see if that helps. I also want to think about if there's a way for me to go faster. So either I use a hoop and I can experiment with that, or I can try doing the sewing method and perhaps one of these other needles will help. So we'll see. You're going to have to stay tuned for the next video as I continue experimenting and figuring out how to finish this piece. But we've made progress and it's looking good. And so I just have to continue. This is actually the edge of this side. So I'm just going to go along this this line of X's here for this side. And then I basically done half the width so far. I'll do the other half to see how farther I need to go on this side. And then I'll make my way up and down and then fill in with the lighter color. I'm taking this piece with me onto the Tatreez retreat. So I'm actually taking off in a few hours, so I need to go ahead and pack this. But this will be my project for the week. I want to see how much I can get done. Maybe I can finish it by the end of the retreat. We'll see. I'm so excited though. Look how much progress has been made. This is awesome. All right, see you in the next one. Now, as for the motif, I decided to go with one that I've been meaning to stitch for such a long time because I've seen other people use it and they've made such beautiful pieces with this motif. It is one that is very geometric, very repeatable, and meant to cover a lot of space. It is called a disc motif, and it actually was found to originate from a town called Al-Majdal. Now, Al-Majdal was ethnically cleansed in 1948, and so I can now think about Al-Majdal as I stitch these pair of jeans and every time I wear them. And then anytime someone asks me about the embroidery, because they will, and if they don't, I'll just bring it up anyways, then I can tell them like, yeah, I stitched this motif, it's a disc motif, and it comes from Al-Majdal. Do you know where Al-Majdal is? They'll say no, and I'll say, oh, it's a town in Palestine that was ethnically cleansed in 1948. And inshallah, 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 one day when Palestine is fully liberated, I can go wear these pair of jeans in Al-Majdal and be amongst the people who originate from Al-Majdal, inshallah.